The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Week 5 recap, Week 6 advanced betting lines, plus the awful lot of nonsense we always get up to on the show. Thanks for tuning in live if you are here. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. If you're there, leave a rating and review while you're there. As you can see, or as you can probably hear as well, I'm not feeling well. I have COVID, as it turns out. But that's not going to stop the show from happening. It's just I need the other people to do the heavy lifting this time around. That's obviously why Tim is not in studio with me. I would say that he could just sit at the other end of the table. We have like a 20-foot desk, but he likes to give out hugs all the time, which would put him too much in my bubble. Don't want him to get COVID. So here we are. Leave a rating and review of the podcast. I think I mentioned that already. I'm real loopy and real foggy. I'm not going to lie to you. I watched all these games, and it's just like, zzz, and I don't know how much of it stuck. I will get to a point about the Seahawks game a little bit later on, but smash like while you're here and sub to the channel. Garion Thorne, having a great weekend, and now he's on the show. What's up, dude?
I have never felt more like Jeff in that, one, I'm the third person on this show, and two, it might be the saddest I've ever been. In terms of just like sports, this has been a very trying weekend for me, and I can almost blame Tim for all of it. So it's going to be fun. Let's just say that.
Tim, do you agree with Garion's assessment that this is all your fault?
No, I think no responsibility. It's not my fault that Blue Jays are running into each other in the outfield and that the manager is incompetent and takes out his starter to put Santana to the better side of the plate for him to hit and allow Santana to hit home run. It's not my fault that Blue Jays are poorly managed and that their fielding is bad. Let them blame themselves.
Who was your pick to win the American League there, Tim?
I picked the Blue Jays. I didn't realize how incompetently managed they'd be.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the Mets are my National League champions.
Oh, I'm sure all Mets fans are aware of that.
They won last night, so much for your curse theory.
Yeah, sure.
Otherwise, Garion, how did you feel about it? You were on here because it was Jets-Dolphins. We were going to pair the two of you up next to each other. Didn't think we'd see a third-string quarterback in the game, unfortunately.
No, so this is the thing. I almost feel as if I'm not going to maybe emote the emotions that we had sort of hoped for. I mean, I kind of checked out pretty early in this game. And this is what I want to ask Tim. And I'm really curious to hear his answer, because I know in his reality, the Jets are supposed to win every game. But I was sitting there after Teddy Bridgewater had been ruled out for the remainder of this game, or when it had become very clear that Skylar Thompson was going to be the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins for the next 3 hours. And I sort of was thinking, okay, this is the Jets' game to lose. And I really can't think of that many scenarios where the Jets are legitimately the team that should win a football game. So, Tim, how many times have you experienced that feeling in, let's say, the last 5 years?
Next to none. I didn't believe that until Gardner got his pick today. Once Gardner got that pick in the first half, right at that point, I thought, okay, we are, because I was a little bit terrified. I've seen rookie QBs come in and tear things up in the past. And rookie QBs can sometimes be a tough thing for a defense to face because they haven't been preparing. But once he threw that bad pass to Gardner, who, again, looks like an absolute stud.
I mean,
an absolute stud because the Jets...
His arm was tipped. Which is why the pass was so bad.
So yes. The play before, he got a safety.
Sauce
on a fantastic play.
Made a fantastic play on a ball traveling 6 miles an hour.
I'm sure. Let's not give any credit to the guy. You're right. The guy still hasn't given up a touchdown.
Give credit to your defensive Franklin Myers, whatever his name is. He made the play.
He played great too. Look, that is true. But after Sauce made that pick, that's when I thought, okay, this is our game to win. We're 3-2, and of course, knowing that we have Green Bay a third week in a row that a team has more rest than we do going into a football game.
Yes, you certainly have the disadvantage of the team traveling back from Europe.
We actually do have the disadvantage of playing a team 3 weeks in a row has had more rest than we did. We played two teams.
You count the 3 hours the Packers. What about the hours they're losing, Tim?
I'm saying they finished their football game before ours. It's a fact. You can say it's not that important. Maybe it isn't that important, but it's a fact. Now, you asked me how
They're
often...
losing time.
Okay. I don't understand what your argument is.
When they land back in North America, they will have lost 4 to 5 hours. I think it's 5.
Yeah, I don't know from London to Green Bay what it is. But my point stands is that their game ended physically before.
Okay.
What's ludicrous is that the Jets spent 3 quarters trying to give that game away.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
For 3 quarters, the team, I thought, thank goodness the Jets are the best fourth quarter team in football, and they proved it again. Because that team for the first 3 quarters was I was as anxious as possible. I was like Sylvester with that little pot of coffee and those bowls of cigarette butts, terrifyingly nervous that they were going to ruin it because they were trying to. And then they just show up in the fourth quarter and they dominate because that's what they do. They dominate in the fourth quarter. But I don't as much as I'm enjoying the win, I'm not relishing it as much as I would have had we gotten, to Miami at its full strength. It's sort of not the same thing. It's sort of the win is nice. I'll take it. I'll take any win, but it's not the same thing. The forearm shiver that loser Tyreek Hill got from the Jets was phenomenal. To see him flat on his face where he should be, terrible human being. Receiver I got no brief for. Glad to see him, shooting his mouth off about how he didn't want to go to the Jets, making him, looked like a fool today and was shut down by the Jets. That was nice. I relished that. Tyreek Hill looking foolish and being embarrassed online. But that's the only Dolphins joy I took out of only misery I took out of Dolphins joy today. The rest of it was they don't have their cornerbacks. They don't have Tua. It counts, but now all these Dolphins fans that I know who 2 weeks ago are Dolphins are going to the Super Bowl.
Name one. Name one besides your dad.
I was going to say my dad was literally looking up tickets to Glendale in February.
Okay, name another one.
And go on. Dolphins Reddit was all about that too. Anyway.
Okay.
We went from that to the Dolphins fans making nothing but excuses for their team. Which I find,
you made all the excuses. I didn't have to say a single thing.
There are some excuses, but they are 3-2. And they have Minnesota next week in what is a very fascinating game. And everyone who's Dolphins are pencil them in as a playoff team. They're 3-0. At least we know they're making the playoffs. They got a better chance to finish DFL in their division than they did to make the playoffs.
They actually, per the odds, that is not true, by the way.
Well, the Patriots look darn good again today.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you what the odds say, and that's not.
I don't care what the odds say. I don't care what the odds say. I actually watch football with my eyes. And if the numbers in your eyes are in tension, trust your eyes.
How classless was it of Jets Twitter to just start laying the boom on Teddy Bridgewater when the guy's concussed and out of the game?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That sounds like a very classic you move.
No,
praying for people to get hurt.
I brought it up
when you're doing this at the screen and trying to say, "Oh, I hope he doesn't blow out his ACL on this play." That's what you do most of the day.
No, that's not true. And I said I brought it up I brought it up and said how much I didn't like that because I didn't like that. It's great to see Tyreek Hill being embarrassed and laughed upon. It was great when Michael Carter scored the touchdown and made fun of Waddle by doing the Waddle dance.
Yeah, why? If your beef is with Tyreek Hill, why is he making fun of Waddle?
Because we hate the Dolphins, and this is an opportunity to style on them. The Dolphins treated us presumptuously all week, and even though the circumstances didn't. The Dolphins took this game for granted. And
they were playing their backup quarterback. Why would they take this game for granted?
Everyone I heard this week went on about how they loved a favored well, I would say Rob Pizzola loved him.
I mean,
you said you loved it too.
I liked him. I liked him too at -3.5 with Teddy Bridgewater playing quarterback.
Sure. In New York.
Yes.
Favored in New York.
Listen, you run this game back and Bridgewater doesn't get hurt. They probably win the game by 10. The Jets didn't look good.
They'd have to be up by... Except in the fourth quarter when they looked like the best fourth quarter team in football.
Also, you just said the Dolphins were treating this game like it was nothing, and the Dolphins were overlooking the Jets. And then I asked you who on the Dolphins did that, and you said Rob Pizzola.
No,
which I know he's probably the coach of the Dolphins.
No. Well, I'm not sure if it's him or it's you. I go back and forth between it's him or you who coaches the Dolphins, but. Just you watched the press conferences, the way Tyreek Hill was talking about the Jets in such a presumptuous manner, the way the fans are treating this game. You Dolphins have, Jets haven't won a divisional game since 2019. They're not going to do. You know what? A lot of Jets players, they took it personally, and we styled on the Dolphins. And
Tyreek Hill literally, when asked why he's not a Jet, said because there's no state income tax in Miami.
You know
he
what
said
you do?
nothing
You don't
bad
end-
about the Jets. He just said, I'm going to make more money in Miami. That's
I
about the
think
most
Go back and watch the way he answered that question. He didn't need to say anything.
You see, Garion, some of us watch the press conferences, not just read what they say, so we can interpret it however we want.
Unbelievable. You attacking the Jets on a victory Sunday. Go ahead. Take your. I mean, we're getting used to victory Sundays because we're getting a lot of them now. But go ahead and keep attacking.
Can we just review for a moment what Jets victory Sunday has been this season? Because depending on how you want to sort of classify the Steelers quarterback situation, there's an argument to be made that you have yet to beat a starting quarterback in a game in 2022.
I think that's a fair statement.
Okay. So I just want to again, after you spent so much time last season, I mean, first and foremost, thank you once again for reverse cursing the Dolphins into their winning streak last year. But then you spent so much time knocking that win streak because it was all against backup quarterbacks, blah, 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 blah. And I would bring that up if it were the Jets, blah, 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 blah. We're kind of in that territory right now, just so you're aware of the circumstance.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call two wins quite a streak yet. But, we get to 7 and I act like that, then you'd call me out on it. That's fair.
Okay. I don't think you're facing a backup quarterback next week.
No, I'm very concerned. As I'll say on the show, that game's not a hinge game. That game is what I call a travel agent game. The Jets win that game, they are going to the playoffs, and Jets fans should prepare for that. If they lose it, then they just get thrown back in the bucket with the rest of the crabs in the AFC trying to climb their way out. They win that game against Green Bay in Lambeau. Ain't no way stopping us. At that point, they're a favorite to make the playoffs. They're 4-2. The wild card spot is definitely in their clutches. But the schedule that they've got, and they haven't played the Patriots yet. They haven't played the Bears yet. They haven't played the Jaguars yet.
I just heard the Patriots were incredible, and they look great today.
Patriots are a good team. Jets are a slightly better team. Jets are good, too.
Also, how dare Dolphins fans declare they're going to the playoffs at 3-0, but you as a Jets fan can say you have a clear path to the playoffs once you're 4-2.
Yes.
For a game you haven't even won yet.
You're right. Well, I actually don't think they're going to win it, too, to be fair. I think Green Bay is going to win that by a lot.
Oh, boy.
But it's an important game. I'm very excited. You guys are trying to deflate my joy, and I get that. I understand why you'd want to do that. But I'm joyful and I'm optimistic and I'm hopeful. But I'm still not enjoying it as much as I want to.
Can I ask you one question about the game today?
Please.
I just want a clarification on how you kind of personally assess these situations. So I believe the box score says Zach Wilson finished with 210 passing yards. I would say he had 130 because, as you astutely pointed out a couple weeks ago, passing yards against broken coverages don't count. So would you say he had 210 or 130?
I would say that 210 is not an accurate depiction of the way he threw today. That is totally fair. But he did run for the most important play of the game, which was that touchdown. When it was 3rd down, I was like, man, the Jets kick a field goal here, which they definitely would have. I kind of felt like this game could have swung to the Dolphins right there had they missed that 3rd down and not gotten the touchdown. He didn't have a fantastic game. I'll be the first to say he didn't look fantastic. He looked good. He didn't look great. He made no mistakes, which was the real huge thing. He's been working on not making mistakes, and it's true. He has cut down.
So again, just so we can recap what happened today. So Zach Wilson played a perfectly fine game where he didn't make any mistakes, and the defense took advantage of 2 opportunistic
I know where this is going.
Near or at the opposing team's goal line. So would you say that's a good way to win games, a sustainable way to win games?
No, I don't think it's a sustainable way to win games. No, I don't.
Okay.
But
Garion, he's already had this beat out of him as he was yelled at earlier about hey, didn't you say whenever Tua did this that he sucked? It's
and I don't think this is a sustainable way to win games.
No, but about 2 hours ago in our text thread, you were all about how great Zach was, how amazing the play was today, error-free. This is how you get to the playoffs. But now it's like, you're a bit tamped down a little bit now, aren't you?
I believe the exact term I used was I said Zach was A-okay today.
No, that is what you said after you got beat down on it.
I think that Zach played fine. He didn't play great. He needs to play better.
It started
he needs to play better.
I'm reading it right now. Zach played great. then a whole bunch of messages saying how this is basically a Tua game, and then you said, well, he played A-OK. So which is it?
Yeah. I am now taking the position that I concluded with, which is that he was fine. But that if this is the way he plays all year, we're not going to succeed. He does have to continue to get better. He has shown significant progress on not turning the ball over, and he is showing better progress on feeling the rush a little bit. But he needs to work on that, and he needs to throw the ball a little bit more downfield and not throw it so hard. I'm sure Gary saw it. He throws the ball way too hard. I'm concerned on every one of these little out routes is going to break his receiver's fingers. But it was a good game. He did enough. He didn't against a third string QB. He was a Doc Holliday sort of thing. He pitched to the score. He played the way he needed to play to win.
I mean, he's 2-0, right? That's the stat that counts.
Well, no, not really. But people were holding that as a thing to talk about Lawrence with. So I'm like, if you're going to use that bogus statistic to pump up the great Trevor Lawrence, who lost to Houston and couldn't score a touchdown, then maybe hold the same thing to Zach or stop using that metric. But what you don't get to do is walk around and pretend like Trevor Lawrence is the cock of the walk at 3-0, and then Zach basically does the same thing and you don't even talk about it. Like, no, that I will not stand for. Absolutely not.
Won't stand for it. The Jags
won't stand for it.
Did anyone besides me watch a bunch of that Jags game today?
I watched a lot of that game in the fourth quarter because the Jets game sort of got out of hand, and I couldn't watch the Browns-Chargers game. I felt so bad and so anxious for Jeff. I was like, I can't even watch this because I wasn't in our normal watching all the games at once situation, so I had to flip back and forth, and I was like, I felt so anxious for Jeff's anxiety that I flipped over to Houston, Jacksonville for most of the fourth.
That game was just littered with critical mistakes from Lawrence. When you go in and look at the yardage that was gained by Jacksonville, I mean, this is probably the second time this year this happened. Week 1, this happened against Indy in Houston as well, where Indy just kicked their ass the entire game and then needed to get to overtime just for that tie. Jacksonville should have scored 30 points today. It was nonsensical trying to watch it. Houston couldn't move the ball until the very final drive when they just sucked up all the clock, went 73 yards, and that was the end of it. And then on the Hail Mary at the end, I don't know if you saw this, Garion. Real short arm from Trevor Lawrence on the Hail Mary.
I mean, I think he'd run around for about 7 or 8 seconds. It seemed like he was a little concerned. There were guys sort of near his knees, they were kind of going low. Maybe he tried to throw it too high, but yeah, it was sort of funny to see the entire pile have to move all the way down to the 15 to try to catch that ball. I don't know. I had some real bad flicks today when it came to red zone quarterback play. Lawrence threw that terrible interception late in the third quarter. I have no idea what he saw on that particular play. Jacoby Brissett had an absolutely awful interception. I think he was trying to put a little touch on the ball to throw it to the back corner, but it's sort of like Madden when you only have to tap the O button, but if you press down too hard, it comes out real straight. That was awful. And then obviously Carson Wentz, another just fantastic.
Break to jail. That's no other place for Carson Wentz to go but to prison. Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan back and forth I can't decide each week who I think is the worst quarterback in football. Mayfield is in the mix, but he's not in that realm right now. It's Ryan or Wentz, and I can't decide who I despise more. Right now it's Ryan because he just threw a pick on the goal line again. And he fumbled. I think I flipped over to that game. He was fumbling snaps. He was getting stripped. He was running around. He was almost throwing picks. What a disastrous performance. And we get to see him Thursday night. I can't wait.
Well, that's where you go for Thursday nights now. The worst possible quarterbacks only play on Thursday nights. We had Ryan. Tim, you were talking about the Jets being flexed into a Sunday night game 20 minutes before we went on air, right? And you think they're going to have it's
Steelers at Dolphins.
Yeah, and you think they're going to flex that out for Zach Wilson and Russell Wilson? No one wants to see Russell Wilson near prime time at this point.
I know, but it's a real lean schedule, and the only good game would be blocked by CBS or Fox. So, you can't keep Dolphins Steelers in
Why not?
Steelers in themselves.
Are they flexing games already? Can you get flexed at a Sunday night?
Starting in week 7, you can.
That's the first week I didn't know that.
Possible.
Because I was shocked. I remembered the Dolphins had a Sunday nighter, which was already very strange, and then sort of thinking it could be Skylar Thompson taking the field against just a pathetic Steelers team.
Yeah, they got to get that game off prime time. I don't know what game they can pick to put in there, But you can't put that as your prime product. On
No, Steelers, Dolphins, two historic NFL franchises. I mean, a big.
If the Dolphins were playing the way they were 3 weeks ago, you could justify it by saying the Dolphins are fun and people want to watch them. But you can't right now.
Well, Tua's probably back for that game, so they'll probably just put Tua into.
I don't think so.
I would guess Tua's back next week.
Yeah, the way they were talking about it seems like he's going to be back next week. But I mean, who knows?
I sure hope for his sake, after having 2 concussions in 5 days, that he does not play. Oh my goodness, that poor guy.
I mean, look, how long are you going to not let him play? Like, if he's fine, if he's passing the tests and stuff, like either he's playing or he's retiring. Like, I don't know. If it's that serious,
I know,
retire,
but give him a couple more weeks, in my opinion.
Wait, is that your professional opinion as a doctor, or is that just something that you're saying?
Well, I'm something that I am saying.
Okay.
I just think I'd like to see him take a little more time. That's all.
But if he's passing the protocols and he's no longer concussed, where's the issue? If he gets hit tomorrow or 3 weeks from now and gets another concussion, it's the same thing.
I don't know. It feels icky to me for someone who've had 2 concussions in 5 days and then like 2 weeks later to be out there playing. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. Sorry.
It was a really tough scene in the Carolina-San Francisco game. They were showing Sam Darnold on the sidelines, Gary, and being like, when can Sam Darnold play?
He can't, but Baker can't. But I don't know.
Didn't realize your name was Gary in there, Tim. You just want to talk all night?
I'm sorry.
Well, no, I would like to hear him. Anytime we can talk about Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, I would like Tim's take first.
No, I don't have one. Sorry.
I mean, they're bad. Look, I'll be honest. I didn't watch a lot of that Panthers 49ers game. I sort of just went for a walk, kind of like collecting my thoughts for the weekend, getting mentally prepared to have to recap my weekend. Yeah, look, there was a lot of pretty crazy football towards the end of like the early slate, I will say. And I know Tim doesn't, I guess, I don't know if you don't want to talk about the Brandon Staley thing, but we should probably talk about the Brandon Staley thing, right? We should.
Oh, I watched the end of it. I have opinions, and I tweeted out some. I have opinions.
All right, well, I'm glad that the Chargers ended up winning, so Jeff can be a part of the Tuesday show and not have thrown himself down a flight of stairs or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, everyone's just kind of ragdolling Staley right now because they didn't get it. I mean, you're supposed to go for it there. I don't know what you want the guy to do.
No, you're not.
Yeah, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah,
you are.
No, you are not.
You get it.
Jeff knew it immediately too. Everyone knew it.
Yeah, it's really easy to say that when they don't get it. It really is.
No, in the moment, everybody said.
I would say go for it. I'm going.
I mean, look, I think my problem in a general sense with it was just, and Jeff can speak to this. I know he's been talking about it a lot this season. If Staley hadn't clearly sort of like changed his philosophy the first 4 weeks of the season on how aggressive he wanted to be, like, I don't know if this was ownership talking to him. I don't know if like the perception he's kind of developed in the media was maybe starting to bug him. But with how passive he had been in these situations in the preceding 4 weeks, again, I'm not even saying he's wrong necessarily. I think when you have Justin Herbert, yeah, I can see the argument for just like, hey, let's go win this game. But I was surprised that after being so conservative this season, that was the moment he decided to go back to being Brandon Staley. That was what was kind of surprising to me.
Just Cleveland wasn't stopping anything all game. They played zero defense. What made you think you weren't going to get a yard?
A lot of things.
What, DK?
And if that's the case, put the ball in Eckler's hands then. If you really think you just need to get a yard.
Well, Eckler just got stuffed. Again, if you're going to go for it, I say give it to Justin Herbert. Give it to your best player.
With 2 minutes left, it makes sense. It would have been under a minute for the Browns to march down there and kick a field goal. It wasn't going to. The odds were just better to punt it there.
That's actually not true. The odds were worse if you punted it there. Sometimes, and we saw it again in the Lions game today too, where the Lions should have kicked a field goal by the numbers, but instead they went for it. Like sometimes going for it makes sense, and sometimes going for it doesn't make sense. And it's all about trying to read the room. And Staley's one of the very worst coaches in football. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's inconsistent and wishy-washy. Garion makes a great point, sort of piggybacking off what Jeff's been saying about that. He doesn't have a plan. He's a bad coach. He's hurting a talent-rich team. I was so happy Cleveland missed that field goal because the Chargers were the better team today.
But my gracious, he just doesn't put his team in positions to win. He's out there hurting his team. It's very discouraging. Very discouraging.
He often puts his teams in situations to win. That's why they blow so many games.
No, like he's not going to survive this season. It doesn't seem like.
I don't know. I mean,
After this
I think
season,
the
unless they
Chargers will
have
probably still make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Garion, they're
they're
3-2 right now. They win next week. They're 4-2. Automatic bid to the playoffs. So.
Oh, I forgot about that loophole.
I know.
That's great news for Brandon Staley.
Yeah, it'd be very hard to fire him once he makes the playoffs on the auto clinch, right, Tim?
I didn't say auto clinch, but I said we'd definitely be favored to make the playoffs at that point. We should be giving our schedule.
There's no line on that game for next week. Before we jump into next week, Jets and Packers is off the board. Maybe Aaron Rodgers lost his luggage coming back from London. That would account for that 3-hour time difference that they have the extra rest for the game.
I will say, you were talking about how Trevor Lawrence in his Hail Mary looked very sad. I was worried that maybe Aaron Rodgers got hurt throwing that Hail Mary in the London game. The way they hit him, I was like, obviously show the end of the play. Let me see what happens. But I was pretty surprised when they cut back and Rodgers was like standing up and fine. I really thought he took a bad hit there.
And he laid on the ground for a good 30 seconds, it seemed.
Maybe he just had a case of the SADS.
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I mean, you want to talk about, I mean, if we talk about A block PTI things, like how is that not in the A block?
Well, it's probably, let's do that right now then. Let's try to program what the 4 biggest stories of tomorrow is for the A block, Morning Sports Center, PTI, whatever it's going to be. I think it's Dallas beating the Rams.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Right?
Okay, I can see that. I can see Dallas being the first thing.
And they played great. There was like, I had a very poor week of picks, obviously, if anyone tracked my picks for the week. But Tennessee, Dallas, and San Francisco were like the 3 obvious picks of the week that just seemed fishy to everyone. And I mean, Tennessee, I suppose, could have lost that game, but you still had to get Carson Wentz not to do Carson Wentz things in order for that to happen. But Dallas and San Francisco easily covered their spreads. Even though the line seemed like a little bit off. So I decided to go the other way on all 3 of those. So 3 losses for me on that front. But Dallas, I know are they going to let Cooper Rush continue to play till he loses to make sure Dak is as healthy as possible, I guess is the question.
I guess you buy yourself more time, which to your point, I know there's the like, this is a conversation, but it's not a real conversation happening in New England right now too, where, Bailey's not going to be the starting quarterback. He's not going to usurp Mac. However, the winning of games and looking half decent does give you the chance to like not have to rush Mac back. And, maybe that's what we'll see with Dak as well. Maybe if he needs, if it's between 2 to 3 weeks, and maybe you can lean towards the 3 weeks with just the accumulation of wins and building up that cushion. And look, the NFC doesn't seem like it's incredibly deep. Like, I don't think the Cowboys are going to have to do too much. Like 9 wins might get you a wild card spot this year. So they might be able to play it a little safe, I think. But look, Cooper Rush he's not lighting the world on fire by any means.
They go Eagles next week on Sunday Night Football. So unless they rush Dak back for that, they then go Lions and Bears both at home before they're at Green Bay. So I would think
back for Green Bay?
I would say back for Green Bay is probably where you put them out right now. I mean, they might go loss. I would certainly hope not with the Lions and Bears on the schedule. But even if you can just get those 3 extra weeks for Dak to heal, like if you're actually, and this defense is absolutely legit. I found it really strange that Micah Parsons hurt himself in the game, and then they were only using him in on 3rd down. And he looked great when he was in. It's like, if this is a groin strain, I would really want to be like, you're already up by like 12 here towards the end of the game. I'd want to make sure that he's okay going forward. But yeah, if you can just milk out Cooper Rush and try to be 4-2, 5-1 without him, obviously that's you'd want to be 5-1. But if you're trying to think about Super Bowl with this defense, Dak can't be Rush back and then he's like 80% Dak the rest of the way. He needs to be 100% and not get hurt again. So I would think that they do hold him out till Green Bay.
I would hold him back until he's 100%, whenever that is. If he's 100% for the Bears game, then play him in the Bears game. If he's 100% for the Green Bay game, play him in the Green Bay. Like, whenever he's 100%. There's no need to rush. You're 4-1. The NFC is terrible. particularly if you lose next week to Philadelphia, you're in a real bad way in terms of trying to win the division. So just be smart about it, right? Yeah, you play him when he's 100% and not a second beforehand, and you don't regret it.
Yeah. Look, it's an interesting kind of situation. In that game, you've obviously got two different competing storylines. One being the fact that the Cowboys are surviving without their star quarterback, and then you've got the Rams, who just look absolutely horrendous. They can't do anything on offense. Their offensive line is putrid, and it's really affecting Matt Stafford. But yeah, I think if we're playing like guess the headlines, I would say, yeah, the Cowboys are probably number one. Then I think you've either got Giants surprising win coming in after that, or Tom Brady's
sack.
Was that actually roughing the passer is going to be like a block material thing? One, because it's got all the great elements of let's talk about officiating and Tom Brady.
That's a great point.
The mighty Falcons do improve to 5-0 against the spread, and I mean, they if that is a sack and not a roughing the passer, which it wasn't. Even Brady he didn't even try to defend it after the game. He's just like, I'm not the one who throws the flags, so don't blame me for this. But if Atlanta gets the ball back there, crazier thing, like they're only down by 6. They even did the going for 2. And this happened at another point, and I just want to say it now. There was a point in the Seahawks game, and this is from Pat, who had +5.5. They got within 6. It was 31-25. And then they decided to go for 2 for no reason and didn't get it. Can anyone explain the logic to me on this one of why you're down 6 and then you go for 2? Because all that happens if you don't get it means the Saints can kick a field goal and then they're up by 2 scores. Like that, did their kicker get hurt and I didn't notice?
That would be the only reason, I guess, is because you don't. I don't know. I don't understand it. I would have kicked the extra point there, but like Pete Carroll's just playing it by the seat of his pants. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I was also trying to figure that one out. That was like, I think I caught that on like Red Zone without sound. And I was like, oh, maybe I read the score wrong. And then I looked at my phone. I'm like, no, that was the score. I don't really understand that one.
For the first 2, probably at least the first quarter of the Chargers-Browns game on Sunday Ticket, I only had the French commentators for some reason. So I kept seeing, Le Grand Derwin James n'est pas là. And I was like, oh my God, I hope they keep this the whole game. But they eventually switched over to the English commentary. But I watched a good part of the first quarter.
Zone didn't even have play-by-play on Jets Dolphins for the first 6 or 7 minutes of the game.
Oh, goodness.
I was trying to figure out what was happening between is Teddy Bridgewater dead / was that a fumble / now you're calling it a safety.
A terrible call for a safety. That's not grounding.
Right?
He clearly got hit and the ball fell out. Like it wasn't a fumble. It was just an incomplete pass. That was that was a bad call. The Jets the referees were friendly to the Jets today by and large. I will be the first to admit that. They were like that. The face masking call on the sack against Zach Wilson after they had just called what was a legit face mask, but way too late.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like the Jets are getting breaks today. I can't deny that. And they did get breaks today.
Which again is why I was sitting there and I'm like, this is a rare case where I can the Jets have to win this game.
Oh, I would have been.
All the pressure was on the Jets. Like they had to win that game.
Inconsolable if they had lost this game. I don't know how many people I would have demanded their firing, but it would have been several.
So Brady. And then the London game. Did you guys watch all of the London game? Because I fell asleep at halftime and woke up in overtime, and I was like, I don't know what's going on in this game. Like there was a safety somewhere. Still, I haven't gone back and watched it. Have no idea.
The safety was so the safety was like it was 27-20, and the Giants had the ball on their own 6 or 5, and they just ran the ball in their end zone. The punter ran out of bounds.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense then. I was like, how did this score end up this way? It was just all very confusing for me. Waking up in like a haze state being like, I thought the Packers were winning this game. What the hell happened to the Packers in the second half?
They're a Ponzi scheme. We need to definitively at some point rank your various Ponzi schemes in the league, but the Packers are right up there.
I'd call the Giants a Ponzi scheme, but they keep winning. I don't know how they do it.
The Giants are a Ponzi scheme.
Well, that's the problem with ranking the Ponzi schemes right now is I think it's a much quicker and easier list to just name the teams you actually trust, because I don't know if there's more than like 4.
But a Ponzi scheme also means that people aren't aware in general of that team's sketchiness. Like the Panthers aren't a Ponzi scheme anymore. People know they're bad. Like people know that is rotten from the inside out. It's like they're off the list. But the Packers, I don't think people are there yet. The Rams, I don't know if people are there yet.
No, I mean, I think there's look, I don't want to say that people think the Rams or the Packers are bad, but I think there's been a certain level of uneasiness with both those teams this season. I mean, we spent all of August. Well, first off, NFL people trying to figure out a baseball injury on a quarterback was hilarious. But, there was like, can Matthew Stafford throw a football was a headline that we saw a lot in late July, August. So I think there was some skepticism about the Rams, and getting blown out and dismantled on the first game of the season on national television certainly didn't help. Almost blowing a game to the Falcons certainly didn't help. And, the Packers, I mean, as soon as they traded Devontae Adams, I think there was some skepticism about how good this team could be. And to answer Pat's first question, their defense was just terrible. You look at that Giants receiving core, the fact that they were able to put together sustained drives where these guys were creating space and creating separation, it's got to be really scary if you're someone who's sort of assessing the Packers or maybe has a Packers ticket in your pocket. They've got to do something about that defense.
Oh, unbelievable. They can't stop the run. They haven't been able to stop the run for almost a year. They can't stop it. But if the Packers had just, run the ball a little more in the fourth quarter, I think they would have won the game. Like that third and fourth down play, both those passes. I think you put the ball in Jones's hands for one of those two downs. I think you probably get it done. It was a very weird performance. I'll tell you this right now. If the Jets win next week, I don't know what I'm going to be like on this show. I'm afraid of the things I will say. I'm afraid of the places my mind will go. I don't know how excited I will be on Sunday Night Live if the Jets are 4-2 and staring down the barrel of what could just be like a 13-win season.
13-win season. They still have to play the Bills twice,
Yeah, but I think the second Bills game is late. Given the way the Bills are playing, every team's going to lose in Buffalo. So, the Bills could just have the one seed wrapped up by then, right? So then the Jets might be able to do something. I don't know. The Bills are looking great. Of course, the Bills look great against soft teams. We'll see next week will be the test, won't it?
If the Jets don't lose a single game going into that game, then by that logic, the Bills won't have the number one seed wrapped up because the Jets will be on their heels.
No, well, they play earlier in the year too, and the Jets will lose that game too.
Okay.
Dallas. We have Dallas, the Giants, and Green Bay and Brady's. We have 3 of these spots filled of the 4. What's the fourth story?
Buffalo. Buffalo continues to dominate. Or, we also should reserve a spot for tonight if Lamar goes nuts or if the Bengals have a great game.
Could just be Eagles stay undefeated, honestly.
Could be Eagles stay undefeated, yeah.
Yeah, because nothing else really stands out to me. I just look thinking about what are the big things from these games. Yeah, Buffalo. Maybe it's the Chargers and Cleveland, the end of that game.
Yeah, could be.
Possibly.
I mean, I think Tim's probably onto something. I think you've got a big divisional game between the Ravens and the Bengals. You could argue that this is, especially with the Browns losing today. I know it's early in the season, but this is kind of for the division. It's a big first early step in the right direction to winning that division. So that'll probably be get a lot of play if we do get a competitive game. And even if we don't, the storyline would be, what's wrong with the Bengals? What's wrong with the Ravens? They just got blown out on Sunday Night Football.
Have you put a travel agent on retainer yet if the Jets do happen to win next week against Green Bay?
No, I have not. But again,
I don't know. Your dad to show you how to find Super Bowl tickets and places to stay in Scottsdale?
I might have to. I'm telling you, I don't know where my mind could go if the Jets go to 4-2. I got receipts. I got a lot of receipts. And a lot of people will be eating a lot of crow if the Jets.
Didn't you want Salo? Didn't you want him fired 3 weeks ago?
I may still want him fired soon. I still think he's not doing enough with the talent that he's got. But I'm happy with the performance, even though I have real criticisms. I don't think Zach's playing up to his potential. I don't think Salah's coaching his team as well as he can. This team is 3-2, and it's where they should be in terms of the 2 games they lost. They had no chance of winning either of those 2 games. And I mean, if the Browns didn't have a Mariners comeback, for the Jets, they'd be 2-3 right now. The Jets are.
I'm glad you stumbled on that, trying to burn me.
Yeah, I did. And that was unfortunate, wasn't it? Anyway, this doesn't have to just be about the Jets. We can talk about other games. I am very, very impressed, continually impressed by San Francisco. I will say. I was the most impressed of San Francisco, other than Buffalo. San Francisco impressed me more than any other team today. When they're rolling, man, oh man, they're a very difficult out. They were part of my free money last week. They were my super lock this week. Like, they were the right side of both those games from the start of the game. And, like, there's just no playing against San Francisco right now. Unless you're an elite, top tier team, San Francisco is going to roll you into dust.
I mean, do we care when somebody beats the Panthers? That's kind of why I'm not like the Bills are leading Sports Center tomorrow because, like, yeah, they beat the Steelers. Cool. They should have.
I think it matters.
Okay. I mean, look, the Panthers, just no signs of life at this point. I'm shocked. I mean, what, Matt Rule, what do we think? 4 weeks left? Or is this a situation where they try to keep him around because he's doing such a great job at losing games, and that's kind of just what they need at this point?
I don't know. They fired Ron Rivera early, so they're probably inclined to fire Rule early.
Nah, if they have like a beeline for the first overall pick, they're going to stick with Matt Rule here so they can get a quarterback for next year.
Oh yeah, put Ben McAdoo in charge of the team. That won't change anything. He's the OC. That doesn't change anything. That trajectory continues on the same downward spiral.
Yeah, but this is a lock if you got Matt Rule in here right now.
Yeah, Rule's a bad coach. You'll go to college, and I'm sure he'll be fine.
Paul, what was the what did you have to say? You kept raising your hand. I think it had something to do with the Jets playing teams with too much break time. I'm guessing.
Well, it's ridiculous. Every time we turn around, the Jets are victimized by having to face. Well, we are. Like, Park Avenue is putting nothing but obstacles in our way. How many teams in the NFL history have beaten teams back-to-back coming off mini-buys? Bet you that list is real darn short. Jets just did it. Real short.
Like, this is becoming like a baseball stat. The Jets have back-to-back wins coming against teams off mini-buys using their backup quarterback on days that end in Y.
Well, the Steelers went to their backup quarterback. They chose.
I mean, they're both backup quarterbacks. Let's be perfectly honest about how we should be
that's
kind of assessing that Steelers situation.
That's fair. It's just garbage.
Did you treat yourself after the Jets won? There's been a couple hours in between.
Yes.
What'd you get?
You know what I got.
Oh, you got some stickers, did you? Any good ones?
Let's go.
I got a couple that I didn't have. I'm set at a couple spots.
Oh, that you didn't have. So you've been playing, have you?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been playing the last few days.
Do you have any of the key stickers?
No, I don't. I don't have any of the rare stickers yet.
Okay.
Well, that's not good. Maybe you should have played earlier. You'd have them.
Maybe. But, anyway.
Tim, how many boards do you go through in a McDonald's Monopoly season?
I only use the one board.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I keep the board somewhere safe.
Where do you keep the board in your house?
Under my mattress.
So no one steals it?
Just so that I always know where it is.
It's
always in the same spot.
Do you tape them to like the board, or how do you do that?
They're sticky. You peel off, like they're little stickers, right? You stick them right to the board. I had a McNugget meal.
A guy in the chat says the Panthers aren't beating anyone, but they're close in every game. Definitely a solid win for the Niners, Tim. I don't think they were particularly close today, were they?
It's 37-15. What way was it close? Yeah, it was a real nip and tuck.
I mean, there were some real key plays that didn't go the Panthers' direction. That's what you're not seeing, Tim.
I know San Francisco have the cover Kings next week in Atlanta, but the Niners have got to be the play next week.
Well, we better see what the spread is. What if it's like minus 403? Then I'll take Atlanta.
I suppose you're right.
See, these are the things you have to think about. Let's try to do that right now, then. Let's try to get... Actually, do you want to give out who's Sunday Night Football? Who's not going to score the first touchdown? I feel like you've rigged this.
Lamar Jackson is not scoring first.
Here's the thing, Garion. Week 1, do you know why this worked?
Because he wasn't playing into the bit.
That's it. When he wasn't playing into the bit, it was like spur of the moment.
I picked the Bengals to win this game.
That's
I think the Bengals are going to win comfortably.
Fields out of left field.
Yeah, just off the top of your head. Like, who is it? Justin Fields.
Now he's thinking about it, and he wants to be reverse right so that the people get money because he is the man of the people. Come on, Top Cat.
Yeah.
we need
There's
something
a lot
better
of
than that.
A lot of interior psychology going on here, but it's
Not really. Like, it's just the first one, like, off the cuff, who's not going to score? Boom, Justin Fields hit a 22-1 winner. Now, like, how long have you been thinking about who's not going to score the first touchdown now? Like 2 days?
a while. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
People ask me.
That's rooting it.
People keep soliciting my opinion, and I won't tell them, but it makes me think about it.
See, you've ruined
Who's
the
not going to score first in the Monday night game?
I was even thinking about the Monday night. It's what, Raiders Chiefs?
Yeah.
Not Mac Hollins. As long as
that
it's not
feels
him, I
good.
don't care.
Dude, there we go.
There
There's
we
some,
go.
there's
We
some
are
info.
down.
here.
Betting Mac Hollins
That was savvy. With Hunter Renfrow back too, he's going to be great. He'll be super.
Can't stand that
defense.
Hollins guy.
Because he played for the Dolphins.
No, it's not just that. It's just
He
like
seems like a really nice guy.
I'm annoyed. He just pops up out of nowhere. I don't like when the Bills sort of that fullback I've never heard of before either.
Gilliam?
Yeah, it's like, get out of here. Let good.
You're saying
people
he was
score.
an Insta Raider before he even played for the Raiders?
Basically, that's true.
Makes me feel even better about this not scoring the first touchdown thing.
Hey, your boy Shakira had a touchdown today.
Yes, he did.
This guy's great. He dropped one of the easiest passes I've ever seen as well. Devonta Smith too, just bounced like right off his face in that Cardinals game. All right, you guys ready to go
The Eagles
ahead?
looked like they were in quicksand today. They weren't even trying, and they won that game.
And they still won. Yeah,
That's scary.
Did not help my -5. I'm not gonna lie to you. Week.
As Cam said, the back door was open.
I mean, it wasn't really the back door. They tied the game up with like a quarter to go.
How many turkeys
Yeah.
do we think Cam had this weekend?
How
Not
many?
whole turkeys, but like a bite of how many different turkeys do you think Cam had this weekend? Over, under 3.5.
Over.
I would take the over as well.
Me too.
Week 6 spreads. You guys are going head to head on this. Garion, you can have first go. Thursday night football. Commandos at the Bears. Oh boy.
Bears -2.5.
Tim?
Bears by 1.
Bears by Tim's cheating here, but it's not Bears by. It's Commandos by 1, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Tim cheated on this too, Gary, and just to beat you.
That's
Why
fine.
would I do that? There's nothing to be gained.
You were
I
looking.
did the show. I took
Well, if you
much for
win
the
this,
integrity of the
it's
show.
sweet credit. We all know how much you love credit.
There's no credit to be gained on that.
Buccaneers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tim,
I'll say Bucks by 9.5.
Garion,
Bucks by 10.
Bucks by 7.5.
Mm.
Jags at Colts. Oh my God, Garion.
Jags at Colts. Colts -3.
Tim,
Colts by 2.
Colts by 1.5. Okay, I like the Jags. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh,
now.
I can't bet the Colts.
Yeah. So
How many Raquel Welches is that game worth?
Yeah, no line on Jets and Packers as of yet. So maybe there is something with this Rodgers injury. Not quite sure on that. Ravens.
I should say, nothing ever came out that he was hurt. It just looked like a real bad hit.
Well, it's surprising that there's no line on this game.
Yeah.
Then.
What would it be if Rodgers plays? Packers by 6.5.
I'd say 7.5.
It's in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.5.
Ravens at Giants. Tim.
Oh my gosh, Super Bowl rematch.
Oh yeah.
The Giants getting credit. The Baltimore by 3.5.
Incorrect.
Ravens at Giants. Ravens by 2.
Ravens by 5.5 in New York.
Oh, no credit for the Giants.
None.
Okay.
0. Thought they'd get some credit.
Should the Giants get credit, or are they just going to be
No.
this team that no one gives credit to all year and they just keep winning games?
I guess they're not going to get it. I mean, if they win next, I don't know. I figured they'd get some after the last 2 weeks. Surprised.
But they didn't look good in either of those games.
No, I know, but they won them both. So, anyway, interesting.
Their offense looked the best it's looked all season in the second half today. I'll
Agreed.
give them that.
Agreed.
Bengals at Saints. Garion.
Bengals at Saints. Bengals by 2.5.
Tim.
Pick them.
Bengals -1 is the current line. Niners at Falcons. I was wrong with my prediction earlier, Tim. Do you have a guess?
Niners at Falcons.
Mhm.
Niners by 7.
Garion?
Niners by 5.5.
Niners by 6. So you guys meet in the middle on that one. Falcons do love to cover, so +6 most definitely in play. Patriots at the Browns. Garion.
Jeez. Patriots at the Browns. Browns by 1.
Tim.
Browns by 2.
Browns by 2.5. These teams are mirror images of each other at the moment.
Yeah.
Can I just note, this will just nothing but annoy you, the fact that the Niners are shorter favorites at Atlanta than at Carolina. They finally have figured it out then. That the Falcons are slightly better.
They should, yeah. I mean, the Falcons, if they don't get, I don't know how the game turns out if the Brady sack thing doesn't happen, but if the Falcons win that game, they'd be currently winning that division.
Yep, that's true.
And the Falcons do get their 2 games against Carolina, so hopefully they can hit their season win total over super quickly because it's 4.5. So that'd be nice. Cardinals at Seahawks. Oh, this is a fun game. Seahawks. Bet the over on Seahawks games, Garion.
Yeah. God, they're fun to watch. Cardinals at Seahawks. I'll take Seahawks by 3.
Seahawks by 3? Tim.
No, I'm going the other way. I'm going to say Arizona by 1.5.
It's Arizona by 2.5. I like the Seahawks a lot here.
Wow.
What is the difference between these two teams?
Seattle can't play defense.
I mean, Arizona can't play offense
Yeah.
for a full 2 quarters.
I don't know. I think I like Arizona there.
I mean, Seattle plays offense. That they can do. Rashad Penny's
Except
out.
when they get shut out. Except when they get shut out, which they did already this season.
Who do they get shut out by? San Francisco?
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Well, they're not playing San Francisco this week.
They're not, but I'm just saying, like, Seattle's offense is streaky.
I mean, they had 6 bad.
They scored 17. They scored.
They had 6. They had 6 bad quarters, and then since they've been awesome.
Against Detroit and New Orleans.
In New Orleans, who supposedly has a very good defense.
I like. Okay, we disagree. I like Arizona there.
Are you saying that? Okay, we can disagree on the game. That's fine. Are you now saying that New Orleans has a bad defense?
No, I think New Orleans' defense is not nearly as good as people thought it was. The people thought it'd be a top 5 defense. It's clearly not that good.
What about the Cardinals' defense?
I don't know. I mean, the Cardinals kept Philly to 20 points today.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So Cardinals D now very good, Garion. Not bad like Tim
Not that
stated
bad.
last week.
Not that bad.
Not that bad. You just said the Eagles looked like they were in quicksand all day.
Yeah,
You're
like
gonna give that credit to the Cardinals.
well, I mean, in the end, the Cardinals had to be doing something right to game plan against them, right?
Panthers at Rams.
Oh Lord, Ponzi scheme versus Ponzi scheme. This is going to be, I don't know. I can't even imagine picking either side of this game because I hate both these teams so much. It's in LA or in Carolina?
It's in
LA.
Rams by 7, and that's way too many points.
I was gonna say Rams by 6.
Rams by 9.
Whoa!
Get out of here. Get out of here.
You gonna feel good about taking the Panthers there?
No, but I think I will not lay 9 points with this Rams team.
Oh, we had this argument earlier today. I was wrong about this. Bills at Chiefs. Garion.
Bills at Chiefs. Chiefs by 1.
Tim.
Chiefs by 1, but if they win, yeah, right now Chiefs by 1.
You know, if Chiefs by 1 was the answer, I would have told Garion he was correct. You know that, right?
No, darn it. Okay.
You weren't even listening
You're
to
right.
Garion, were you?
You're right. I only play every. Well, no, I was, but I forgot that's how we play this game. Chiefs by 1. Yeah, okay. What is it?
It's Bills by 1. Bills are favored in Arrowhead.
If the Chiefs win convincingly tomorrow night, they won't be.
I agree.
Interesting.
Cowboys at Eagles. Tim.
What's the Cowboy tax here? It should be 6, but it isn't 6. I'll say Philadelphia by 4.5.
Garion.
Philadelphia by 6.
You guys, Garion's closer. It's Philadelphia by 5.5, leading to, oh my God, Monday Night Football has the Broncos on it. Oh,
Yeah.
But also the Chargers.
Wait, did we? Is there just no line for Dolphins Vikings?
I didn't see Dolphins Vikings.
Tua's status probably still.
Yeah, the game's not only like the Jets Packers game's on the board. There's just no odds attached to it. The Miami Minnesota just isn't there.
Oh,
Take the Minnesota first
Park
half
Street
line.
heard Tim talk about how Tua should just retire, so they're forcing the Dolphins' hand by just canceling their games.
Denver,
Wow, just take Minnesota first half.
Denver at the Chargers Monday night.
Oh boy, wait, is this Tim or me?
It's Tim actually.
Chargers by 6.5.
No, Chargers by 3.5.
Tim got it right. It's Chargers by 6.5.
Wow.
Yeah, I think people know exactly what. No one wants to line up and bet Denver right now, so I don't know how big a line you can make it before they start getting Denver action, right?
Oh, I found some odds on this. Minnesota at Miami, not at DraftKingsSportsbook.com.
Can you give us a hint? Like, is this presuming Teddy plays, do you think, based on the number?
I couldn't know yet.
Wait, what, do you think there's a difference between Teddy and Tua, implying that you think Tua is better than Teddy?
Oh, I think there's a difference between Teddy, Tua, and whatever his name was.
What's his name?
I don't
Okay,
remember.
any credit for this win if you can't name the quarterback?
Oh my God, I'm blanking on the man's name. I just watched him play too.
Skylar.
Yes, Skylar. I kept getting texts from certain people.
That's
about
what
Skylar.
no. We're just not gonna do this.
So Gary, and you can go first. Minnesota at Miami.
Miami by 2.
Tim.
Vikings by 2.
Vikings by 3. And what do we say? There is a line for Jets Packers here as well. What did I say Jets Packers was going to be? 7.5?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what it is. Pat makes the lines from the book. That's why the books always win, because I'm making the lines. It's not true. Oh, the Bills are favored by 2 here. Wow. Interesting stuff. All right.
Really like Kansas City in that game.
No kidding.
Thanks, Tim.
No, the Bills are respectable and playing great football, but the Chiefs are a cut above. Better team getting points. How often you get that opportunity on Sunday night?
I mean, they're first in the NFL in EPA per play. They're playing very well. I won't take that away from them. I'm just not shocked you're not picking the Bills.
No, I picked the Bills this week. I thought they were going to kill Pittsburgh. I'm on Jeff's theory, which is that the Bills may win every home game by 1 million.
Paul has something to say about this.
You were saying that the spread was probably a little bit too wide. You were very trepidatious, which is like a word that you kind of use, and you were saying that Pickett was going to have a great game.
I thought Pickett was going to have a good game. He didn't. But I also did pick Buffalo minus 14 in the end. I was a little anxious about it. And that game early on, Pittsburgh was sort of like hanging around a little bit, and then it sort of went sideways on them.
What are you talking about? They gave up a 98-yard touchdown on the first drive.
Yeah, but it was then what?
It was 31-3 at halftime.
It was 20, like
Just
it was 10-3,
hanging
and the
around.
Steelers are moving. Early in the game, it looked like that Pittsburgh might have some fight in them, and then eventually, after the second Gabe Davis touchdown.
Early in the Dolphins-Jets game, I would say the Dolphins' offense looked frisky, and then they lost Teddy. It was really early in the game, but early still.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I was too busy waddling in the end zone.
I liked how he did it and wasn't sure the camera caught it the first time, so then he did it again.
Because he wanted people to know we don't like the
I know. He
Dolphins.
wanted credit. He wanted credit, Tim.
We
You
don't
are a
like
man
the
of your
Dolphins,
team, if nothing
and
else.
we are styling on the Dolphins, even though this is not the Dolphins team we wanted to style on.
I tip my cap to you. You should have won that game, and you did win that game. Congratulations. I still hate you for picking the Jays to win the American League.
Sorry.
Tim will be back on Wednesday's show with Jeff as we pick all of the games. But Garion, people haven't seen you, at least on this show, since the Custody Awards. Where you been?
Just hanging out, writing for DraftKings Nation, DraftKings Playbook. Lot of winners during the MLB season. So if you guys want to still bet some baseball, even though I had a real sad week with the Jays, went 3-0 on my wildcard round futures. So I'll be writing up some baseball bets. Check me out over there. Writing up the showdown slates for Thursday and Monday night as well. So I'm sure I'll pop back on for another Sunday at some point.
All right. Well, you can follow Garion, verified on Twitter at Garion Thorne. Much better than Tim is. The fact that you're verified. He's still very upset about that. It's been like 3 years.
I'm not upset about it at all. I came to accept it very early, and I'm very, as I texted him at the time or tweeted at the time, that I'm dying with jealousy, which is what he wanted to hear. I've accepted that.
Yes, I will say I did want to hear that.
I do find it funny that I'm just looking at your video screen, Garion, about how the quality of your camera shot is so much better than Jeff's, and I bought Jeff a $2,000 camera.
Yeah. Been doing this for a while, but that doesn't shock me necessarily. I've actually a couple times I've looked at my phone just to verify a stat or something, and I feel bad because I'll catch myself looking down. I'm like, oh God, I'm doing the Jeff thing.
But to defend my Wednesday show counterpart, of the two main shows that you're doing, Patrick, our show is having a lot fewer tech problems with the guests than the Friday show. So give Jeff a break.
Why did I buy him such a nice camera then, and the good microphone?
I understand that, but you're having much more trouble on the Best Bet show.
We're really not. We're really not having problems with that show.
Cam's got a great
for
setup.
Multiple weeks. You were complaining about people being too bright and not bright enough.
Yeah,
and,
I was complaining about Rob's lighting. It wasn't a problem with his camera or the fact that he needed to turn his microphone up. And
can I also say,
or a hard line connection.
Gigabyte was the funniest nickname I had heard. I was driving home from the golf course when I heard that, and was drinking some leftover coffee in my cup, and I spit it on my steering wheel. Whatever, it's black. It's black. It's black, so it's not like there's milk in it or anything. I bought it just to get the stickers, and I only had 4 or 5 sips, and then I had to go play golf. So anyway, the Gigabyte was so funny. The funniest one I thought I had heard was when Gabe called Bronstetter Orville on your show. That I thought was the funniest nickname I had heard, but now I think Gigabyte is funnier. It's a very funny name.
What's your database say, Gigabyte? It cracked me up. All right, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience Sunday Night Live. We'll be back next week. Hopefully I have a bit more energy. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank Tim and Garion for carrying the show for me this week. Appreciate that. Tons. Smash the like on the way out and download, rate, and review the audio podcast. Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.